We got a lot of work to do. A lot of welding. A lot of cutting. You ever seen this thing? You ever been here? Ranger. We're trying to just make it really heavy. Outside of that, I don't know what we're doing. It's supposed to be a lowrider, but so far, we're turning it into a tank or some kind of armored vehicle. That's where we're at. It's just getting heavy, heavy, heavy. And that's what we're doing again this week. We're trying to make it heavy. Last week, well, actually, the time that y'all will see this was 3 weeks ago. Started cutting this plate. We got that set in there. It needs to be cleaned up a little bit. We got this plate, which is not really much of anything yet. It's going to look like this. So that's what we're going to work on first. We need to get that trimmed, nicely fit, to where when I weld it, I'm not welding giant gaps or giant bulges and things that don't need that. Same thing for this side. After all that's done, we need to weld this on. We made this last week. We need to... There's something else that I really wanted to do. Oh, this area here. We need to do that. Once all of that's done, we need to work on making this cross brace stronger somehow. I haven't really figured that part out yet. Debating on welding things to other pieces, maybe. I don't know if it's going to look too bulky and weird if I ran... I don't know. Have you ever been here before? You'd know. We're just winging it. Kind of just going with the flow here. Trying to come up with progress. I need to clean my garage again at some point. And yeah, I just ramble along. So if you've never been here, there's a lot of videos on this. A lot of other builds on the channel. You should check out. You should. There's a lot of them. And then I'm going to try not to ramble. It worked. That worked like 2 weeks in a row. Minimal rambling. Worked out pretty good. I'll try and keep that up. I don't know how successful I'll be, but yeah, let's just do something. It is a different day on a different week. About 3 weeks from the last time I talked to this camera. I have been driving around all of Pennsylvania, going to swap meets and car show related things. I know that's not super exciting things, but it's something to watch. Basically, I don't want to leave y'all hanging, so I brought y'all along to check out what I did. I know it's kind of, I don't know, repetitive, I guess, but we're back in the garage. It's been weeks. I have made progress. I have worked on the truck off camera. It consisted of a lot of welding and a lot of grinding. As good as you can make these plates fit, it's not always just slap them on and go like it is on the outside of the frame rail. The outside of the frame rail is relatively flat. You line it up, you clamp it in place, tack, 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 weld. The inside of this thing, I mean, if you've been here from the beginning, you know. It's wavy. It cuts in and out. I attempted to straighten that up with a grinder and make the frame the same thickness or width all the way down. You get it as good as you can. It's not the greatest, but it makes it very time consuming because you can't really tack in the corner, and then fill in the gaps. It's more like tack here, bend here, tack here, bend here, over and over and over. Smack this with a hammer really, really hard and continue to weld. So what I did, show y'all, welded the plates fully on to the frame. And I don't normally condone grinding off a weld because I'll show you exactly what happens. Basically, that initial weld was sort of to get a baseline to make everything flat and even. Because of the gaps and the waviness of the frame and trying to get all that dead on is pretty close. But it's not exact. So that initial weld basically held everything together. I ground it flat and actually see where the dust kind of picks up on the crack between where those two pieces were. You can't leave it like this. It'll just fall off later on. But my intentions were I want to plate the top and the bottom of the frame. If I leave the weld up here, sometimes it depends on how you like your frames to look. Fords, some big bodies have box frames. This being a pickup truck, of course it doesn't have a box frame. It just happens. Some people like to put the plates on the inside and then have this little lip overhang. I was trying to go for something a little bit smoother while we were here. I don't care if it's perfect. I mean, the outside, I'm leaving the weld. It is what it is. But that outside weld is attached to this rolled edge, so it's actually, like if you put a straight edge on here, it's below the height of this. When it comes time for me to plate this, which I'm going to have to skip past the bed mounting points, it'll be flat plate all the way down, skipping. But I'd like to have some kind of meat to attach it to. If I made it to where this weld was still here, put that plate on, and made it to where I'm not welding on top of that weld, basically that plate would be a 1/2 inch wide, or 1 inch wide. And it was just, I don't think that would look very good and not be as strong. So what I'm going to do is run that plate to the edges, and all three pieces are going to get welded together at the same time. I don't know if it's stronger. I'm not a structural engineer. I've been debating on running a TIG weld down that edge potentially and welding that to that material again first, now that it's all together and smooth. I haven't debated on that. I have been debating, but I haven't made a decision on that. So today we're going to do things that I don't have to think about as much. I need to get this welded on. I made this a while back. I made that a while back. I've talked about that like 30 times for some reason. I just haven't felt like doing it. I want to set the rear end back into the truck and get everything bolted up and actually set the truck on the ground for the first time on its own weight on the new suspension since we've been doing this. And the reason I want to do that is I welded this set of tabs as far in as I possibly could, and I made that one match. The center section's offset. It can't physically go over anymore. And that is a very, very tight fit between these two frame rails. It might even hit. I don't know how low the truck's going to be. I know that the springs are going to compress and things are going to change. And when you're three-wheeling, rear ends get really wonky. I don't know if you ever looked underneath of a car while it's three-wheeling, but maybe I can try and find a generic picture of something I had around the house. But the rear end is so crooked and turned underneath of a vehicle that things come in contact that you would never think would come in contact. I've had a lot of three-wheel capable things and worked on a lot of them, and they get all kind of out of sorts. I'm kind of hoping that the truck is high enough that all of that won't matter. There's a good chance that it's still going to be really, really close inside of the frame rail, and there's a chance, which I'm cool with because I didn't fully weld all this, that I'll have to put a little recessed notch in here. But I wanted all of this to be fully plated, assembled, and then look at it before I put that box in there, just in case. I mean, wait, we might add the box regardless. But I didn't want to do hours worth of work if it didn't seem like it was going to be necessary, because that just doesn't make any sense. So I've been rambling so much that I feel like I'm out of breath. We gotta start moving some heavy stuff around. I need to put all of the mock-up bushings back in all of these things and try and slide all this under the truck. Try and get it all hooked up, drive shaft and all, with coil springs, and get this off jack stands. It sounds like pretty straightforward, but this stuff's heavy and awkward, and you always feel like you're going to end up losing a finger. And then we're going to have to cut our support bars off that we're using as gauges to make sure that the frame's not twisting, because the truck's going to be significantly lower than it is right now, of course. So it's a lot of work to cram in today. Yeah, let's do that. Just wanted to show this. I talk about that Eastwood and Harbor Freight, this thing, all the time, taking off rust and paint and whatnot. This is how far I've lasted. There. That sounds weird. This has been on that same tool since the Mazda. It's been like 2 years, basically. And I've done a lot of work with it. And this is what it's supposed to look like. But yeah, just thought I'd show that. These things are 100% worth the money. You can get them for like $100 or $80 sometimes from Harbor Freight. And this is way easier and way cheaper in the long run. These are like $30. Way better in the long run than trying to use a grinder for things, because grinders leave terrible marks and that thing does not. It just leaves like a brush finish. Figured I'd add that in there. I don't know whose idea it was to make this stuff so heavy. I know, I put the adapters on backwards. These wheels are coming off probably 10 more times before we're done. I figure it really didn't matter during mock-up since it's gonna come off. It's gonna have to come off to do the brakes, it's gonna have to come off to do the paint, it's gonna have to come off over and over. Plus the truck's getting new adapters and new wheels, so again, don't even bother saying anything. So, it might seem kind of ridiculous to go through all of this just to put the truck back on the ground, just to inevitably lift it back up. But if y'all have been around, you know that motivation is necessary, and this is motivation. I need instant gratification and seeing something cool rather than looking at the truck in the same exact position for way longer than anticipated. I really expected to buy this truck in the beginning and put pumps on it while it had leaf springs, and that age-old saying, while I'm here, I might as well. This is what it turned into. I originally anticipated on buying a really crappy Ranger. I don't know if I've ever said this. I wanted to buy a crappy Ranger that was rough and just put pumps on it and basically hop it until it folded in half. Pull the pumps off and bring it to the scrapyard. That was essentially my idea. And then I found one that wasn't rotted, which is extremely rare for around here. It's unicorn stuff, so I felt like I had to treat it nicely, and again, here we are. This thing has become a shelf. Apparently, it also manufactures its own gear oil because I drain the rear, I tip the rear up, I've welded the rear, I flip the rear around, I weld the rear, and every single time I put the truck sort of back together, more gear oil comes out of it. It's crazy. I also think that everybody, we all need the instant gratification. It's not just me. It gets boring watching me weld, just constant weld flat stuff to a frame for weeks in a row. So we need something cool. We need to see what our potential ride height's gonna be. Hopefully it's sort of level. I didn't think I was gonna be taking a shower on camera today. Lucky me. I don't know if I'll put those back in. I think we're at the point where the frame's pretty well locked in. If I manage to warp the rest of it, I gotta be doing something a little extreme. Like way too much heat in one spot, but I think we're good. Let me clean up this gear oil mess for the 100th time. It's not a pleasant smell either. That stuff has probably been in there since the truck was made. I think the front end might be a little heavy. I I need another person. If I had another person, I could get the jack stand out of there. I found another person. He's just oddly shaped. Cross your fingers it doesn't fall down. Ooh. Gonna be a little lower than I was anticipating, I think. Not bad so far. Didn't expect it to hold itself up. Moment of truth. My floor jack might be a little too tall for this. What? What are we hung up on? Apparently I need to clean up that pocket a little bit because that cylinder is getting caught in the pocket. I'd rather not leave my hand in there. I'm lowering this thing down. So we're up a little bit in the rear, but it's also going to have a whole lot of weight on it. It's pretty good. It's not level. All this stuff's gonna settle. Fully expect these springs to settle quite a bit. I think I might have adjusted my link bars. The rear end looks slightly off side to side. I wasn't paying attention. I dropped the bar earlier and it loosened. I think I turned the wrong way, but that's not a big deal. We have a really close measurement on one side and kind of far on the other. Not a big deal at all. It looks pretty awesome. Let's get a little walk around. The truck was so covered in random things. I just threw everything on the ground. Like I said earlier, it's been a shelf for a while. It's not like my Mazda. It's not like my Caprice, of course. But neither one of those hop or three-wheel or do anything crazy. If I slammed it like tucking tire in the front during hopping, which this still might go up a little bit if I change out coils or change out cups, when the suspension compresses, there's a good chance I'd ruin that fender. So I don't want it to tuck tire, and I don't want the frame to bang off the ground. Bumper, yes. Front end, not so much. That's pretty awesome though. It's the first time it's been on the ground in what feels like forever. Everything looks good. That's what I was talking about. I got a gap here and lesser of a gap over there. So I need to either pull that bar, run one rotation in, or that one rotation out. I don't know which one I got off, but again, we're still in mock-up stages. It's not a big deal. looks mighty beefy in there. But this is what I was also talking about, potentially putting a little recessed pocket in here, because when this thing starts twisting, this will get closer to this. But now that I can actually see it, and I understand that the truck's going to be a little bit lower than originally anticipated because of the weight, compressing springs and all that. Those are plenty far enough away from the ground, I feel. It's the first time we've actually been able to see that. Not the best optimal thing for speed bumps, but this thing's not driving through neighborhoods, so it doesn't matter. Pretty awesome. I don't know. I need to edit this stuff. I'm going to edit this stuff and then we'll come back and see how long the video is. See if we can squeeze in some more welding and grinding before I wrap this up. Yeah, I'll check back in immediately, I guess. I think it's going to do it. I went inside, edited everything I had, and we're already up 30 minutes, and I got some stuff I need to do today, so we're going to wrap it up here. We're going to check back in next week. I'm not totally sure how long next week's video is going to be. I'm going to attempt to get out here every day, but I have some motorcycle thing to get my license, so that's going to take up a good portion of my time. So I don't know exactly how next week's video is going to turn out, but I'm going to try and make a video regardless. And we'll see you again next Sunday. I appreciate y'all watching. We're like 70, 60 subs away from the next giveaway. So still a pretty big gap, but you never know. Could happen. Be awesome if it did happen. So don't forget to do all normal YouTubey things. I cannot talk today. Like, comment, subscribe, do all those things, and we do giveaways every 100 subscribers. If you've never been here before and this is the first time you've seen us working on whatever random junk I have to work on Sunday nights. That's it. I will see you guys next Sunday. Thanks for watching.